Hey, if you haven't watched the previous parts, you can find them in the description below. Money at its core is a dance of energy, and like any dance, the rhythm changes depending on the steps you take. If fear is leading, the dance becomes clumsy, chaotic, and exhausting. But when consciousness leads, every step flows in harmony, every turn becomes effortless. And so, to master money, you must first master your fear of it. Fear tells you money is scarce. Consciousness whispers that energy is infinite. Fear says you must fight, hustle, and grab your slice before someone else takes it. Consciousness reminds you that no one can take what is truly yours, for abundance is not stolen, it is aligned. When you look back at every moment of panic around money in your life, you'll notice something. The fear never brought solutions. The fear only brought paralysis. But when you shifted, even slightly, toward calm awareness, creative ideas began to emerge, opportunities seemed to appear, and people began to show up as if sent by life itself. That shift is not coincidence. It is consciousness at work. Now, let us go deeper. Money, like everything else in your reality, responds to the frequency you embody. This is not wishful thinking, it is resonance. The universe itself is vibration. Atoms vibrate. Thoughts vibrate. Emotions vibrate. And so, the frequency of your inner world becomes the magnet of your outer world. If you vibrate scarcity, you attract situations that echo that scarcity. If you vibrate abundance, you begin to meet life at that same frequency. Think of it like a radio. You cannot tune into the frequency of abundance while your dial is set on lack. You can scream into the microphone all you want, but if you haven't changed the station, all you'll ever hear is static. So the work is simple but radical. Change the frequency. And how do you do that? Through awareness. By noticing the thoughts that arise every time you spend, every time you receive, every time you even think about money. Awareness is the tuning knob, gratitude is the amplifier. And then comes the paradox. When you no longer chase money, it begins to chase you. Why? Because you are no longer broadcasting neediness. You are broadcasting completeness. And completeness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate wholeness. Opportunities seek them. Money flows toward them. Not because they are special, but because they embody alignment. Alignment with what? With the truth that they are not separate from the source of abundance. The same consciousness that spins galaxies, that causes the sun to rise every morning, is the same consciousness flowing through you. And when you remember that, you stop doubting whether you deserve wealth. You stop questioning whether you're capable of attracting it. You simply rest in the knowing that abundance is your nature. But let's not romanticize this too much. There will still be bills to pay. There will still be challenges. Consciousness does not erase life's difficulties. It transforms your relationship to them. Imagine this. Two people receive the same bill. One panics, spirals into fear, and radiates scarcity. The other breathes, smiles, and says, "This is simply energy moving." Which one do you think finds solutions faster? Which one does life respond to with flow instead of friction? It is the same bill. The difference is perspective. The difference is consciousness. That is why perspective is the ultimate wealth. Because if you see the world through fear, no amount of money will ever feel like enough. But if you see the world through wholeness, every coin becomes a blessing. Every note becomes sacred. Now here is where the observer effect takes its throne. Quantum mechanics reveals that reality is not fixed until it is observed. The act of looking determines the outcome. You, right now, are the observer of your financial reality. How you look at it is how it collapses into form. Look through fear and you collapse scarcity. Look through gratitude and you collapse abundance. This is not philosophy, it is physics woven into spirit. You are collapsing realities every single day through your perception. Do not underestimate the power you hold. You are not a victim of money, you are its creator. Money does not control you, your consciousness shapes it. But what does mastery look like in daily life? It looks like this. When you receive money, you bless it. When you spend money, you bless it. When you see money, whether it is yours or another's, you bless it. Because blessing multiplies and cursing diminishes. It looks like paying bills with a smile instead of a sigh. It looks like making investments with trust instead of anxiety. It looks like knowing when to give freely and when to receive openly without guilt or shame. This is the rhythm of true financial freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom in responsibility. Because you no longer see money as a chain, but as a current, flowing endlessly through the ocean of life. And then comes the highest truth. Money is not the goal, consciousness is. Money is not the treasure, awareness is. When you awaken to this, money becomes what it always was meant to be. A servant, not a master. It becomes a tool of love, an instrument of growth, a mirror of your inner state. And once you live from this space, wealth takes on an entirely new meaning. Wealth becomes the freedom to spend your time in alignment. Wealth becomes the health of your body, the depth of your relationships, the expansiveness of your spirit. Wealth becomes the joy of being alive in a universe that responds to your awareness. So the question is not, how do I get more money? The question is, how do I align more deeply with consciousness? Because from there, money cannot help but flow. And even if it didn't, you would still be wealthy. Because you are rooted in the one thing no one can take from you, your awareness. That is the treasure. That is the abundance. That is the wealth that outlives gold, outshines diamonds, and transcends time. Remember this. When you shift your perspective, you shift your reality. And when you embody consciousness, you embody wealth beyond measure. Money will come, money will go, but awareness is eternal. And that is the true freedom your soul has been searching for all along. So here we arrive at the end of this journey, but really it is only the beginning. Because money, as we've seen, was never truly about numbers, coins, or bills. It was always about you, about your awareness, about the perspective through which you gaze at the world. Throughout this exploration, we uncovered the illusions of scarcity, the traps of fear, and the lies we've been taught about value. And yet, every illusion pointed back to one truth. Consciousness is the true currency of existence. It is the lens through which wealth is created, destroyed, and recreated again. When you begin to live from this truth, money stops being a source of stress and starts becoming a mirror reflecting your growth, your alignment, your openness to life's infinite current. Every financial challenge becomes an invitation to return to awareness. Every gain becomes an opportunity to practice gratitude without attachment. Every loss becomes a teacher, reminding you that nothing is ever truly lost when your source is infinite. Here's the secret. Money can only control you if you forget who you are. If you believe you are separate from the abundance of the universe, then every transaction feels like life is draining from you. But when you remember you are consciousness itself, the very observer shaping reality, then every transaction becomes an exchange of energy, neutral, flowing, continuous. You lose nothing, because everything is part of the same current returning to you in endless forms. So let this not be the end of the lesson, but the beginning of your practice. The practice of blessing your money, your bills, your income, your expenses. The practice of expanding your awareness every time fear whispers in your ear. The practice of embodying gratitude so deeply that abundance cannot help but meet you. Money is energy. You are consciousness. Together they dance. And when consciousness leads, the dance becomes beautiful. Walk with this knowing, live with this truth, and watch as not just your finances, but your entire reality transforms into something beyond wealth, into freedom, into alignment, into love.